Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com, Access Vikings podcast, and we also have the newsletter at Ben Goessling via the X Machine, and he joins us now in studio. This is the Steve's Appliances Marathon, stevesappliances.com. Customer appreciation event taking place right now. Save a lot of money on appliances and contractors. If you're bored with your conduit to appliances with your builds and everything, talk to Sarah, Jordan, or Brian with Steve's Appliances and let them apprise you of the deals they have on volume. If you're looking to buy in volume, they'll take care of you. stevesappliances.com, stevesappliances.com. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you make of the Vikings hiring a firm while seeking a full-time general manager? And good morning, Ben Goessling.
Good morning. Yeah, they did this last time, I believe, as well. I was looking back through the records from the 2022 search, and I believe it is the same firm they used at that point. So a lot of this is probably just to help them come up with names, maybe, find candidates that they might not have seen otherwise. They're obviously, the owners have been in place for a long time. Andrew Miller has contacts around the league. Kevin O'Connell has contacts around the league. But I think a lot of this is just to make sure that they've covered all their bases and see if there are candidates out there they might not have been thinking about. So it's primarily for that purpose. I don't think the search firm is picking the candidate or picking the winner of this hiring process, but a lot of it is just to help compile on the front end of things.
How much chance do you give the interim, Rob Brzezinski?
I give him a fairly good chance. I think it's going to be a question of, do they want somebody that's got the quote unquote scouting background? But this is not something where every successful general manager in the league, it comes from that world. I mean, certainly John Schneider does, and he's done that part of the job about as well as anything else in Seattle for a long time. And he's basically built two different Super Bowl teams, almost completely separate of one another, and a lot of that's through drafting really well. So if you can get that, that's great. But Howie Roseman does not come from that world. You have people around the league that kind of come at this from different backgrounds and get hired out of different places. I mean, John Lynch, in San Francisco, I think about, obviously was a player for a long time, but did not come from a scouting world. He was doing TV, I think, once he got done playing. So there are different ways to get to this. And a general manager, I wrote about this in the newsletter a couple of weeks ago. A general manager has to play a lot of different roles. It's not just sitting there grinding tape and running the draft process. That's certainly a big part of it, but a lot of different things go into this job. You wear a lot of different hats and have to manage a lot of different departments. So I think if Rob Brzezinski gets the job, the fact that he has the respect and the ability to build consensus throughout that football operation will play very much in his favor.
Are you 10 of 10 that he wants the job?
Yes. Yeah, I am.
I was 10 of 10 at the combine.
Yeah.
Well, when all of us sat down with him, you guys had that background.
Yep.
I did the Vikings.com stuff, and that was 10 to 10.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him about it or asked him since.
Yeah.
I know you asked those kind of questions.
Yeah. I mean, we've asked him about it quite a bit on the record, and he's kind of, to this point has said, I'm focused on what I have to do at the moment. I'm focused on getting the draft ready, but at no point did he say, no, I'm not interested in this job. And, talking to people over the weekend, I have heard, and I posted this on social media and wrote about it, that he has let the owners know he is interested in the full-time job.
Oh, there we go.
There is no equivocation on that. Yes, there's no equivocation on that at this point. He wants to be considered for the job, and we'll see where that goes. But I think if he's going to be a full-on candidate, the trust he has in that building will help him quite a bit.
Be a shame if he didn't get it, and here's why. I'm finally comfortable typing his name the right way instead of adding a Y.
I always
early
love
in
that
the
one.
equation. Just when you get comfortable with the BRZ,
you got to start with the extra Z.
Yes.
Is what gets you the silent. Is that a silent? Yeah, it is a silent Z, right? Somewhere in there.
Well, so when you read about
one of those two is silent.
Potential other candidates, or you read about the Vikings vacated or looking for a full-time general manager. You'll you'll read or you'll hear or you'll see football guy, football guy, football guy, football guy, looking for a football guy.
Yeah.
Well, who says Rob can't be? Who says Rob is not that?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're around as much as he has been around for almost 3 decades,
right.
And Rob, I think he's said this too before, either on or off the record in passing, as the chief capologist, that he watches film.
Yeah.
I mean, Rob watches a lot of film.
You have to.
Right. So it's enough with the football guy stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. When you've been in the league for 34 years, I would think if you've been in football operations for that long and you haven't acquired an ability to look at tape and say, this guy is better than this other guy, or this guy is, here's where I would rank him, here's where I would see him fitting in our scheme. You've probably kind of just been coasting, and that's not how he's gone about it. He's been
well said,
a football guy, quote unquote. I mean, this term gets thrown around too much, but he's been the top front office executive in that building before, and he was one of the 3 legs of the triangle of authority.
Wow. In
the early, the mid aughts, I suppose it would have been
like 06.
Yeah, 06 to 12 when they finally went with the full-time GM. It was him, Rick Spielman, and Brad Childress / Leslie Frazier,
right.
Whoever the head coach was at the time. So he's had to play that role in the past. And yeah, I think the fact that he's been around as long as he has, he's been involved in enough of these meetings. I mean, yeah, he wasn't necessarily a college regional scout at age 23, driving around the South to look at different players. And there's a fraternity in that world, and there's I think a collegiality that comes from all of the nights in, 2-star hotels or, small towns. There's a brotherhood that goes to that, and it's an important part of the job. I mean, it's an important part of how people find players. I mean, that's where stuff all starts. And there is a quiet dignity, I think, to the scouting world that a lot of people respect in the business, but it doesn't mean that that's the only way to get there.
Agreed.
And we see successful examples of other people not coming from that background, and then, like Howie Roseman building multiple Super Bowl champions.
If he doesn't get it, there's got to be trust there then that Brzezinski would either be amenable to going back to his most recent position, or there's a new title or something, just kind of maneuvering and navigating that if someone not named Rob Brzezinski becomes the general manager.
Yeah, I would think that's the case. I mean, he has been, in PA, this, he's as much of a team guy, do what's best for the team, more so than do what's best for me type.
Yep.
I mean, he's pretty.
We like to call that I, not I.
Yeah. He's pretty down to earth about a lot of things, and pretty willing to say, hey, this is not about me. He's obviously a guy that has ambition too, and this is towards the end of his career. This is probably his chance to get this job if he wants it. But I would think that if he's going through this process and the Wilfs are considering that, they would know that if they don't pick him, there would be that question of, is he going to stay in that job? I would think that he will, because I think he's pretty committed to the overall structure and he knows his value in that role. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't give him the job. It's possible that they will, come up with some type of elevation to reflect the fact that he's done what he's done, especially during this interim period here, and the organization, the role he's played in the organization for a long time. So I'm sure there are ways to do that. There's ways to change titles and all of those kinds of things. And, maybe it's even something where you make him president of football operations and you hire a general manager to work with him that comes from more of that scouting background. They've talked about wanting a traditional structure, and that can still be, I think, relatively traditional. They haven't had the football side of things president before. That would be a little bit different way of going about it. But there could be. I mean, there was a lot of chatter about that when they looked at that kind of a structure at the end of the Rick Spielman era.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be stunned if they considered something like that. I think there's a number of different ways you could do it if he doesn't get the general manager job, to say, hey, we appreciate the way you've worked and we value your place in this organization.
Would you agree with that in a job like this, there are intangibles that go into the hiring of the next person that we, either the media, the announcer, or whomever, won't be told about.
Yeah.
Now, being around as much as we are, we can deduce what we think is important from an intangible standpoint with that role.
Yeah.
And, I'll lay out too. You can lay out whatever you want. Intangibles to becoming full-time general manager for the Minnesota Vikings that are important. And if you can't handle these two things, then you're probably, this job's probably not right for you.
Yeah.
Number one would be O'Connell and Flores are going to have big say in the draft picks.
Agreed.
And in free agency.
Yes.
So if your eye not thy on that, my way or the highway, this ain't the job for you.
No.
And secondly, working with Kevin O'Connell and getting to be his dog. I mean, a dog is a man's best friend. Getting so in with him that you're not afraid to close the door in his office and ask hard questions.
Yeah.
And not have it be confrontational.
Yeah.
Not have it, let's not take this personal. Let's not take this personally, but let's talk about this a little bit to amplify what really is kind of the face of the organization. Somebody super gifted and super good at what they do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they always have all the right answers.
Right.
So I think those are two intangibles that are very important. What do you think?
I totally agree with both of those because this is not 2022 where the coach is hypothetical and the GM is hypothetical and the slate is completely blank and we're figuring out who do these two people, we're hiring two and how do we make the match on both sides? You are trying to find someone that can match with a coach you already know, and for that matter, a defensive coordinator that you know. And we talk about Brian Flores a lot in this, and the reality is he's had a say in some of the draft process. He comes from a scouting background. His voice in scouting defensive players especially is highly respected in that building. So those two guys are going to be part of this process, which means you can't look at this in a vacuum. You cannot say, well, if this GM matches with a certain type of coach, then maybe this is a good fit. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, does this GM match with Kevin O'Connell? And that means that you can't expect a certain type of, you can't expect people to change on the fly, nor should they have to when they've been successful. And you're going to adapt, you're going to grow, but expecting somebody to be completely different, I just don't think is realistic. It's, like any partnership, you're not going into it expecting to change people, which means that knowing the people you have and knowing how they already are, you have to then find the fit that exists well and complements and cooperates with those people. I think that both of those intangibles that you mentioned are very important here.
Why Damon Claiborne, the Wake Forest running back?
Yeah.
Why do you think? I mean, he's super gifted. He's fast. He's got some jitterbug to him. He's shifty. Well, why do you think he was there for them in the 6th?
Well, I think it's a little bit of, he's not the biggest running back, and I think there's the question of how will he do, taking a pounding in the NFL. I think there's some of those questions. And then just, how does he fit in a building? How does he fit being a pro? I think there's some of those things to figure out with him, but they've wanted that type of back, and they have not had somebody with that type of juice in a while. I mean, Aaron Jones, I think, had more of it than we expected he still would have, but he's in his early 30s, and that's getting to the point for a running back where you don't see a lot of guys still lasting at that point. So you have him, you have Jordan Mason. Neither of those guys at this point are burners, and when Frank Smith was in Miami, they had an offense that was built on speed. I mean, they had guys who were sprinters in college. Like, they were good enough at it to still be Division I sprinters and continue doing both sports into college. And that's...
You mean like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle,
Achane. Yes.
Raheem Mostert at Purdue.
He
was
the
the bomb track guy at Purdue.
Yes, all four of those guys can fly. Yeah. And I think early on, when that offense was tearing things up to the degree that they were, that level of speed was a big part of it. It was not an accident that they were trying to find guys whose speed was not just good, but game-changing type factor. So this is the type of guy that I think they're hoping will bring that kind of component to this offense. They have not had a player like that in a while, and I think it will be intriguing to see how they use him because that type of speed, I think, plays well in this offense, and we just see it where if you have speed that is elite, it changes a lot of things. I mean, there's football speed, yes, but when you have just that raw ability to move that fast and that effectively, I think it plays on a football field.
We bring that up after the general managerial talker with the Minnesota Vikings. The A topic with the Minnesota Vikings right now is hiring a full-time general manager.
Yep.
The 1A, right behind it, the one in the 1A, would be rookie mini camp is this Friday.
Yep.
And so therefore, Damon Claiborne will be there. The Ben will be there along with maybe Emily and/or Andrew, Access Vikings newsletter, the whole thing. Well, so what do you look to accomplish at rookie minicamp, especially when the top pick, the Gator, won't be running around?
Yeah, I mean, rookie minicamp it's a chance to see a lot of these players for the first time and probably meet a lot of them face to face for the first time. You will have guys like Caleb Banks that aren't participating quite yet. Jake Golday will see. I mean, coming off of, I think, the injury at the end of last season, I would imagine they'll take it a little slow with a few of these guys. And yeah, it's just a chance to get an early look. But I've learned that rookie minicamp and OTAs and even mandatory minicamp, with the way this group does things, everybody wants to, hey, who are the matchups to watch at OTAs? It's like, I wouldn't spend a ton of time fretting over that, because that's not how this regime treats these things. I mean, you'll hear Kevin O'Connell talk about class on the grass quite a bit, and it's the learning phase of the offseason. They're not going out there making decisions on depth charts in May and June. It's a lot of glorified walkthrough kind of stuff. I mean, they'll do some things occasionally a little faster, but it's a lot of time to stop and look at the big video board they have. You leave time in there for teaching. It's not, going at real-time speed. It's not going at normal time intervals between plays. I mean, none of that stuff is happening in a way that would simulate real football action quite the same way, because they want that to be a spot where coaches can have a voice and there can be a lot of real-time teaching. So when that goes into it, this is year 5 with Kevin O'Connell. You learn that it's probably not one to form your depth charts and do the, matchups, position battles to watch stuff, as much as certain people might want that, whether on the internet or in my line of editorial oversight at the Star Tribune.
Yes.
We need to keep those things a little bit in perspective. A little bit of a shout out to whoever on the Star Tribune editorial desk may be listening.
And a shout out to Abbott. I am bringing my walk by contraption just in case I can walk by and get to walk around like the locker room after wins and get 7 minutes of interviews.
Get all that family business out now.
But no guarantee, Abbott.
I won't have QB1 completely sorted out by the end of OTAs in May.
Let it out,
guys.
brother.
So
I love
you. Calm down a little bit.
Wolves win last night. Therapeutic Davenport Love stored away with plastic on it.
We got plenty of stuff going on between Wolves live blogs, Wildlife blogs.
Awesome.
We're driving things. We don't need to turn the OTA depth chart position battles into Game 7 of the World Series level import.
But I guess we won't ask you to predict the final 53 then. Okay.
But we can do that in July or August.
Being elite scribe as you are, you will be there.
I will be there.
You, maybe Emily, maybe Andrew, maybe a combination thereof.
Yep.
I'll be there. Has the time been announced yet?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we'll both be there early afternoon.
I would assume that's probably what we're talking about.
Cool. But with that said, is you got to be there, not just to check a box or dot an I or cross a T, because there are 3 things that come to mind when it comes to rookie camp where you're like, okay, cool, here we are. That you just got to make sure you're there to see for context. And I'm going to go most recent to farthest away. You'll remember all 3. You were there for 2.
Yeah. Most
recently, within the last 3 years, I'm looking around rookie camp and I'm like, why is Brett Hundley here?
I always love that one.
Yeah. Remember when 10-year quarter, why is Brett Hundley here?
Yeah. I always love that.
So you see things like that.
Yeah.
Like why is John Skelton here? This is weird.
Yeah.
I always love that one.
2016, I believe, 2015.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
Okay. Diggs came in with a Super Bowl winning face mentality.
Yep.
And basically was like, yeah, I know this doesn't count, and I'm going to kill every single one of you.
Yep.
And, I mean, what he did to Trey Waynes, that rookie camp, that should have been a felony in 48 states.
Yeah.
I always love that one.
So now what's next? Minicamp. Oh, geez, he did it to the veteran corners again.
Mm-hmm.
Next step. Why isn't Norv playing him? I mean, you got to earn.
A month.
Yeah, you took a month.
Yeah.
You got to earn your way. You got to earn your way up the ranks. So you learn and see things like that.
It was a month and Charles Johnson breaking a rib, if I recall.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Or was it Jarius Wright? One of them got hurt.
I feel like it was Charles Johnson.
Yeah, I think you're right. And first and foremost, I've said this before. In fact, during veteran minicamp with the rookies, I got so moved by Percy Harvin, I called KFAN and said, I don't know what Barrero's talking about now, but if he has a 3-minute opening, I just have to tell him what I'm watching right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be Rookie of the Year. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Well, I think it started at rookie camp.
Yeah.
You know, where you're like, wow, look at that build. Holy cow. Let's learn about the headaches. Wow. Look at that. Mm-hmm. So you will see maybe this year, I don't know what it would be. It could be like a Damon Claiborne.
Yeah.
Where you see things that are eye-opening. Yeah. You need to be there for them, and it's Friday, and I think that's going to be cool.
Exactly. There's going to be some things here and there that surprise you. And, I mean, let's not forget, we just went to the retirement press conference of two guys that had double-digit year careers in Minnesota after making the team out of rookie camp tryouts. Mm-hmm. I mean, Adam Thielen, C.J. Ham, of course, are the two.
Not invited to rookie camp.
Yeah.
Like where everybody knows they're I have a friend, a kicker for Oregon named Atticus Sappington. Mm-hmm. He's going to be there Friday.
Yeah.
And he's one of those not listed, but we're going to invite you like Sherrills and Ham and Thielen just to give you a chip, chair, and chance.
Your recruited walk-on sort of things.
Thank you.
Yeah, and those guys, I remember Thielen having an awfully good day the day we saw him, because I had talked to him. I've told this story before, but I talked to him. I was at the Pioneer Press in 2012, and it was my first year on the beat, and I think during the bye week, they had me go down and do a story on Minnesota State Mankato, because it was the year that Todd Hoffner got suspended, and they went on a run, and it was this question of, like, how big of a deal is this down there, and what kind of a run is this? Is Hoffner going to come back? All this stuff is going on. I remember talking to Thielen there, and it was like, he was one of the captains of the team. So I drove back home and like, oh yeah, nice guy. We'll write the story and probably figure never see him again. And then he shows up at rookie camp like, oh, I talked to that guy like 4 months ago. Okay, great. Good thing you got a shot. And then we're back down in Mankato. He has a great camp. It's like, oh boy, this guy could have something. He makes the practice squad and of course makes the team. So
that's sweet.
It's one of those things that rookie mini camp can be the catalyst for that happening. It's not often that you're going to see that. I mean, Kevin O'Connell said it at the retirement press conference that we're probably not likely to see this again, where you have two guys that come out of rookie camps that have that kind of a run. That said, you occasionally find that guy that can have a little bit of a run, even if it's not 10, 12, 13 years. But, maybe he makes the team and is a helpful contributor for a few years. So you kind of keep your eye out for those things too, because every once in a while somebody surprises you.
So a couple of minutes to go here, then some wild conversation with Alan Roach. Would you, Ben Goessling at Ben Goessling VX, would you discern the AVG, Andrew Van Ginkel, the AVG in training, Jake Golday, may do his best work during the season on special teams, or would you say defense?
Well, probably special teams initially, but I think he is very much the Andrew Van Ginkel in training, like you said. So there may be some times where he gets a chance to play some defensive snaps, either to give Van Ginkel a break, or if there's injury stuff that comes up, I think they want him to kind of apprentice in that role. And it's hard to just say, oh, go be Andrew Van Ginkel, because Andrew Van Ginkel does things that nobody else can do. I mean, Harrison Smith, I remember last season talking to him about this, and he said, I don't think I've ever seen a guy that does the things that he does. And it's like, if Harrison Smith is saying that, that's a pretty high compliment, because Harrison Smith has seen a lot, and Harrison Smith doesn't give out compliments like that very often. So to say that somebody's going to be Andrew Van Ginkel and have that level of intuition and that level of ability to pick up on what's happening and disguise things, you can't teach that. But there is some examples of what he did at Cincinnati that say, okay, there's a few plays that you look at and say, Yeah, the ability to drop into coverage and make a play after, simulating a rush and some of those things, especially if he gets a year to learn from Van Ginkel and say, hey, teach me about when you read a receiver split and you know what's coming based off film study, how do you angle your rush to make the quarterback think you're coming, but then fan out to be able to pick off that screen? I mean, if he has a year or two, however long it is, to learn from Van Ginkel in that regard, I think that's a valuable thing too.
Is it too flippant at this point of the equation to say the Miami safety starts day one?
Probably, yeah. I think it's probably a little premature at this point, but they like him a lot, and I think they feel like he can be awfully versatile, be a guy that plays with a level of command, especially once he learns the defense, probably get some time learning from a lot of the veterans. I think they're pretty excited about what he could be. So, yeah, I think betting high on him or buying the stock on him is probably a good bet.
And lastly, Christian Darrisaw will not be a rookie minicamp, but just to start this conversation low key up to minicamp, everybody chill. Then we get to training camp. First and foremost, last year when Christian Darrisaw was at minicamp off the ACL, off tearing up his knee with that massive knee contraption during minicamp. I mean, that pretty much caught everybody off guard. Full throttle with Darrisaw this year, right? I mean, it's there will be no less than predictable pauses to the equation, right?
Well, I think they still will have, and they're going to manage his workload in practices. I think you're going to see some of that again. I think some of what they did last year, we'll see if it's as pronounced as it was last year with all of the days off. But I do think there's going to be a little bit of we have to figure out what his week looks like. And I think they would expect that you're not having the interruptions during games where it's, hey, the knee is still giving me issues and I'm not sure how it's going to go. So I have to take myself out of the game. I wouldn't expect that again.
Yeah.
But I think let's be smart about what your practice week looks like and manage inflammation, manage, how your knee is feeling through the course of a season. I do think there's going to be some of that again. So, I think the hope is to manage everything during the week to the point that allows him to go out on Sunday and be able to play free and not have it be in the back of his mind. But that may take some management during the week throughout the course of the year. So I would expect to see some of that in camp and then probably into the season.
When we read and or peer over the organized team activities, 4 deep in the newsletter this Friday.
Yeah.
Sappington, K2. Reichert, Sappington, K2. We're just giving you a little help because that is coming in the newslier, right?
Yes. Yeah. We are going to do we're going to do the 4 deep out of rookie minicamp. That is the kind of insight and hyperbolic interpretation, reckless speculation that you can expect in the Access Vikings newsletter.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. He's the learned scribe. At Ben Goessling is how you follow him via X. To the Wild with the Vox of all Voxes to ever Vox Alan Roach next.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword deposit. You might win by using the keyword deposit at KFAN.com.
How you doing, bud? That was great.
Hey, shout out to my daughter, Kat, who is my social media manager, and she takes care of all that fancy stuff that you just played right there.
Yeah, and Nordquick, as John in Minneapolis used to call him, for dropping it in with the Cale Makar and the
John.
Avalanche 9, Minnesota Wild 6. That was cool, man. This is Alan Roach. He is the voice of Ball Arena. at Mile High Roach via X. I mean, that just had to be the time of your life Sunday night at ball. I mean, talk about staying on your toes. That there was something big happening every 3 minutes. And good morning, Vox.
Yeah, good morning, PA. I had so many people ask me over the last, 36 hours, is that the most goals you've ever scored? And I didn't take the time to look, but I had a friend that went back to 1999, which was my first year of the Avalanche. And never before has there been 15 goals in a game. So I know that the number of goals scored by both teams was the most. And I'm guessing, I think I've had a 9 before with the Avalanche at home. But, yeah, it was, it's fun. It's all fun in games until, like, goal 7 when the voice starts going, how many more of these are you going to do?
Yeah, that you do me a favor. I'm sorry I became scattered there. You got a game tonight. We don't expect either anything from this request or certainly a 10 of 10 like we just heard from Sunday at ball. But your biggest fan has texted me already. Former Wild goaltender Alex Stalock, who met you at Ball Arena, and he's just all a Twitter over that. So he wore number 32. Can we just get a low key in goal number 32, Alex Stalock?
And I remember Alex playing. Mm-hmm. Did he always play for the Wild, or was he with other teams?
He started with the Sharks, and he and Jumbo Joe Thornton have become, they were good friends. Pavelski, Logan Couture, that group. Then he was with the Wild. He was with the Blackhawks for a little bit. But just for the sake of somebody who really adores what you do and has a lot of respect for you, can we get a number 32 Alex Stalock just in quasi-Vox mode?
Starting for the Wild broadcast in goal, number 32, Alex Stalock.
I love you. There's nobody better. Thank you very much. It troubles me from Sunday night, Roachy. It troubles me the first 3 names you executed to perfection were Malinsky, Drury, and Blankenberg. And here's what troubles me.
Yeah.
We have enough to do slowing down the luminaries. When the Pips are out singing Gladys Knight, it's tough for the Wild to win, if you know what I mean.
And it's kind of been that way. Well, it was that way in the first round with L.A. I mean, Nathan MacKinnon, I think we talked about this last week. Nathan MacKinnon is, if you take the top 4 playoff goal scorers, point scorers of all time, Nathan MacKinnon, at least as far as, average per games played, Nathan MacKinnon is in the top 3 or 4 all time.
Yep.
But he's not been that way in this series. And it's been some of the third-line guys and the fourth-line guys and guys that, have only scored 12 goals during the season. And I say only, the Avalanche have had almost everybody on the team score 12 goals this season.
No, we're happy for you.
Yeah, the Avalanche are getting scoring from their depth players.
Of course they are.
And that makes them nearly impossible to beat, I think, as was illustrated the other night.
So are you feeling 7-1 Avs tonight?
I don't know. I mean, is it a one-off? Are all these games going to be, 5-3, 6-4?
You could have just
kind
said
of affairs,
no.
Or are we going to go to a 2-1 kind of thing? You just never know how the game is going to unfold. I think the way these two teams play, though, you're probably going to want to bet the over more often than the under, I would guess. I'm not a betting man. You know more about that than me.
Now we're touting.
But at some point, Nathan MacKinnon's going to break out, and he's going to have 5 points in 2 games. And I guess for the Wild's sake, they hope that doesn't happen in the next couple of days.
That laugh was so fiendish. Fox, you could have said no. No, it's not going to be 7-1 tonight, but that's okay. At Mile High Roach via X. I was getting ready for this yesterday, knowing where you live and what you like. I went to the Red Rocks website. The old school shows at Red Rocks this spring, summer, and fall ain't great. Do you look at the schedule much when it comes to that elite concert venue?
I do, and you're right. They don't over the last couple of years, you know. And first of all, they have a concert there almost every night from like March to November. So there's a lot of them, but they aren't the big headline marquee type names that Red Rocks used to be known for. And part of that is because it's such a small venue. I don't know. Maybe 14,000 might not even be that. Maybe it's 8 or 10,000. I have no idea. But it's a small venue, so I think they have difficulty attracting names that can, bring in a lot more people than that. And it's hard to get more than one night at Red Rocks because they have so many shows. So yeah, they're kind of, I hate to say a secondary venue, but they get a lot of double A or B kind of acts through the summer.
Wild and Avs.
Fox.
Our favorite team hasn't seen you guys in some time in the playoffs. Maybe some forgot Landeskog is all about the agitation gene. He'll be in some scraps before the series ends, don't you think, Vox?
He is my captain. He's been the captain of this team now, I don't know, 12 years. He's been a captain ever since he was 19 years old.
Damn.
He does the dirty work that other players, that the Avalanche really don't have players to do. Josh Manson, the defenseman, will mix it up a little bit. But, yeah, I wouldn't say that Landeskog is an agitator, but he's certainly the first one to react.
Let me guess. Josh Manson is going to score tonight. Why? Because nobody's ever heard of him.
I always love that one.
C. Blankenberg. With your Avs at Ball Arena, ladies and gentlemen, so with your Avs at Ball Arena, are you guys always that fast with those sweet drop passes all over the rink and a cocksure nature with perpetual wind in your sails? Is it always like that?
Well, that goes back to your question about are they going to score 7 tonight? I think the Avs, I don't know what their average is. It's got to be close to 5 at home all through the regular season. It's not unusual for the Avalanche to score 5 or 6 goals in a game. It happens all the time at Ball Arena.
Great.
And yeah, it's been such a pleasure watching this team play all year. And there were times where they had injuries like everybody else. And there were also times where the Avalanche were down and not playing at their best. But when this team is on, I don't know what another team can do to stop them.
That's great.
It seems like there are 6-7 minute stretches in games where the other team is only trying to survive. And the Avalanche really put the Wild in that position the other night, and the Wild did survive.
I know,
and they responded. And they went from 3-0 to being up 5-4, whatever it was.
They took the lead.
And I think that's probably going to happen at least 1 or 2 more times in this series, that the Avalanche are going to score a flurry of goals, and you got to get through that. It's just the way they play.
Alan, thank you very much for the time. And in a roundabout way, we will hear you in surround sound tonight, either on radio or TV, because you were super loud the other night and everybody heard you booming here in Minnesota. Thank you very much, Mile High Roach.
I'm so excited and so happy that this series is here. I really don't want it to go fast. Selfishly, I want it to go 7 games so that I can see these teams play each other as much as possible. I think it's going to be a great rest of the way.
No, we think you're lying. The only reason you would want it to go 7 games is so you can get 4 games of home boxing, and that means more mailbox money. Yeah, I mean, it's you want to get to the Stanley Cup final. You've done that before with this team. You know what it feels like, and you know you're sensing. Are you sensing a sweep? Are you sensing a sweep of the Wild by the Avs?
No, no way. But looking at the way the game went the other night, maybe I'm leaning more towards a sweep than I was when it began. But
there didn't have to be a but.
I'm like 5% leaning towards a sweep. No, I would bet heavy that this game or this series goes at least 5 for sure. And I think it will go 6 or 7.
Thank you, Roachy. Have a good one tonight.
All right. Love you guys. Let's go Avalanche.
Roachy.
What charitable is he? Gave us 5 games.
The Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox.
Welcome back. It's News du Nord, a truncated solo mission. And as Meat Sauce Paul Lambert would say from the Power Trip Morning Show, solo journeys have their perks. But News du Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. It's poker, blackjack, and table games all day, every day with Canterbury. But you're feeling the felt, and then live racing is going to kick off here at the end of the month as well. Memorial Day weekend, Friday the 23rd, I believe, is the spot to go. On the news end of things, Twins, they're back at it today. Had a day off yesterday. It's Taj Bradley on the mound at the Natties. So they are at the Washington Nationals, and nothing to really say on that other looking forward to Taj pitch. He's been a revelation this year and a fun aspect of this Twins team after splitting with the Blue Jays, but no updated news that I have seen thus far in terms of the health of Joe Ryan, who left over the weekend on Sunday's game against the Jays after just 2 batters. I think the total was 9 pitches, elbow soreness. So I haven't seen any updates on that. And, of course, we will continue to update you as we move forward and get things to talk about. Now, what has dominated the conversation? Not Juwan Jennings, not GM search of the Vikings, although Goessling was awesome with his updates and such as rookie minicamp and a GM search are hot on the plate for Vikings fans. No, it was a final last night in San Antonio.
Randall with 5 to shoot against Vassell. Mid-range jumper off the back iron, no. Harper the rebound. They get it to Wemby. Back to Harper. 3 seconds left. Now with 2. Champagny moves to his left, fires a 3 at the buzzer. It's off the front rim, no good. The ball game is over. The Timberwolves have stolen game 1 in San Antonio, 104-102.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. It's always a beautiful thing when you got Alan Horton and Jim Peterson on the call. And they did take game 1, cover that in full, whether it's talkbacks. We will have a talkback of the day towards the end of the show. And the Minnesota Timberwolves now up 1-0 from plus 950 underdogs in the betting sphere as of Sunday to, Anthony Edwards might be back. We'll nudge them up a little bit, a little more money coming in on the Howl. It's plus 460. Ooh. And then after last night, plus 150. For the Timberwolves. Effectively, that's a 60-40. As underdogs, they would put that as, say, about a 40% chance that the Wolves would win this series. But how quickly that's changed after you get 25 minutes, 18 points, some big buckets specifically in the fourth quarter from Ant. And Randall, although you heard it in the final call, I didn't like that shot at all. Randall really came to life and was kind of sneaky good. That was almost the way the coach put it. Finch talking about Julius Randle, just kind of sneaky good in various spots of that game, and you needed it. Terrence Shannon Jr. in the mix, and how productive he can be. Conley with 4 massive triples in that game. It was a blast to watch that down in San Antonio tonight. Game 2. Not a lot of rest. Weird series layout, right? Like game 2's tonight for the Wild, and then they chill for 3 off days before it comes back to St. Paul. It's not like that with this one. It's going to be game 2 tomorrow, and it's going to be every other day, at least for the first 4 and what I have in front of me. So looking forward to that.
Nice split between the Wolves and the Wild here for us with the way the days are laid out
just
and stuff.
Staggering the games.
Got a 7:00 game tonight. That's all good in the hood.
Well, the only thing I'll say is because it staggers that way, you're going to start feeling, because you're going to get game 2 tonight, but then you're going to start wanting the Wild around Thursday, man. You're going to start wanting the Wild around Friday. It's like, I need a freaking hockey game in St. Paul.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Well, but that's the point, is that it will indeed get you yearning for game 3 at Grand Casino Arena. And I'm yearning for Wild conversation. I just had to listen to the Vox of all Voxes, Ever to Vox, who I adore, really just soaking in and reveling in his own team's beauty and brilliance. I need to hear from Kevin Gorg of FanDuel Sports North. And we need to chat about are we on the Gus bus, the Wally trolley, what to look for in Game 2, and all of those things. That's News to Know brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. It's Gorgie next, right, PA?
Could Josh Manson be a series changer for the Colorado Avalanche? And what does Senor Spotty, what does KG think about the Wild goalie situation and more? One of our very favorites, Kevin Gorg, joins in studio when 9 to noon continues on KFAN.